Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in Game 2 in the series between Loner and NEXGenius here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. This is the finals between the BlizzCon 2010 finals here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. NEXGenius taking Game 1 on Scrap Station, Loner trying to force a Game 3 and really wanting to win a Game 3. If he loses this game, he will play another best of 3 series between NEXGenius and against NEXGenius just because he has not lost yet at BlizzCon 2010, while NEXGenius was knocked down by Loner originally in the winners bracket, I believe in the semifinals. So taking a look at the game, Loner just pretty much doing the standard opening, now gonna go ahead and build a supply depot over here by this assimilator. We do see NEXGenius also getting that standard pylon here. Now Xel'Naga Caverns is one of those maps where a lot of interesting things can happen. Your natural expansion is very much exposed, because of this rather wide opening here, and then an even wider opening here. There are also debris in the back of the base where units can, or you can place a proxy pylon, proxy barracks, and then just rush your opponent with a lot of units. We also see destructible rocks set up down here as well. So these destructible rocks lead to your third base. However, there is also this high yield mineral location here that is fairly exposed to your opponent. Terran players like to take this expansion as their third base normally, as they can place a planetary fortress here and then block off one of the ways straight into the base and then just activate this Xel'Naga watchtower. So really, I think this map favors Terran in a lot of instances, but then I've also seen a lot of proxy play with a lot of clever Protoss players. We do see a probe now trying to come in and deal damage towards this one SCV, pulling off there and now trying to come back. And will this SCV be able to run away? And now trying to come back around, and 3 SCVs quickly coming over, and I believe this SCV is not being repaired. And we do also see an upgrade to an orbital command and training up a marine. So this one marine, as it's being trained, the probe may try to come back in and be a hero probe and get this kill. So that would be very interesting if that probe, no, the probe just wanted to make sure that nothing too strange was coming out. Loner now walking around with 5 minerals of his own. Most likely stole it from NEXGenius. NEXGenius is getting a second assimilator. So with a second assimilator, you can pretty much assume that NEXGenius is not trying to do any heavy real 4-gate rush at this stage, unless he tries to go for just pure sentries and zealots. One of those things I do not suggest to a Protoss player all too much, as marines and marauders behind a wall can deal a lot of damage to those sentries and zealots before they're able to fight back. We do see a second, or a factory now being placed down. So Loner, in foregoing the standard double barracks opening that he used on Scrap Station, and now going for a factory. Normally what this means is he's trying to go for a little bit more of a tech play. Now I'm curious to see if he's going to try to go for marines and siege tanks, or perhaps even try to go for banshees. We do see a refinery now being placed down here. So with this refinery, he will be able to get additional gas and try to go for more tech units, as I had mentioned earlier. So I do not expect any Hellions to come out of here, and now going straight into a starport. So it is a 1-1-1 build, and yeah, just a barracks, one factory, one barracks, one factory into one starport, trying to make sure that they can get as much tech as possible. We do see an early expansion coming in from NEXGenius, though, right before that 5-minute mark. So this expansion right before the 5-minute mark is not too early, and just a very, very aggressive economic play. And I believe that NEXGenius will be rewarded for this, as as Loner is not going for a very, very heavy army. You can see the army sizes on both sides. Fairly small, 250 versus 125. We do see a factory now currently training up a reactor, so a little bit curious as to what's going to be happening here. We're now going to see a swap between the tech lab from this barracks, and now all of them just playing a shell game here. So now the starport getting the tech lab, most likely training a banshee, marines being double trained out of here, and now a factory getting a tech lab here. So yeah, a little bit of a shell game there, and most likely this will mean that we are going to have most likely we are going to have siege tanks coming out here in just a moment. We do see the Nexus now being placed, or the Nexus nearing completion, so only needs about another 2 or 3 seconds, and there it is, finished warping in, and probes already excited to start mining, and will be able to mine off of 16 mineral patches instead of just 8. NEXGenius, also with a slight economic advantage, will get an even stronger economic advantage in just a moment, as he's able to double chrono boost and train up 2 probes at a time. We do see a robotics facility coming into play. So NEXGenius really just playing in the dark so far. He has no idea what's coming in so far, and we now have a Banshee coming into play. So this Banshee now trying to hug and make sure it is not revealed by this one probe activating this Xel'Naga watchtower. So this probe does not see this Banshee trying to leave yet, and does not even see anything in this base. We do see most likely an observer will be trained by NEXGenius. And then with that observer coming into play, trying to make sure what exactly the strategy is from Loner. Loner does have a fairly small army, and I do not think he will be able to deal critical damage. In comes this Banshee. Banshee trying to use that method to try to get as many probe kills as possible, going for 4 probe kills, and it is very, very critical that this Banshee does not get shot down, but it does get shot down. And NEXGenius able to kill that Banshee very easily. That Banshee, I believe, got 4 kills. But there was a loss of 100 gas as well, so I'm not quite sure if who really came out on top of that. NEXGenius will be forced to try to train up more of those probes and try to even up that economic game, but that was a very, very heavy loss. Loner now moving out as Banshee now in the air, siege tanks on the ground, siege tech not being researched, so not quite sure what Loner plans to do with this. Just trying to bring SCVs along in order to repair those siege tanks, I believe. Are those SCVs on auto repair? No, not on auto repair, and in comes a force field as these Marines now trying to fight as well. These SCVs need to be on auto repair. One Banshee pulling back there, and we now see Immortals being trained, and that Immortal will simply be able to shoot down shoot the siege tank very, very easily. We do see some bunkers now being placed down. However, with these stalkers and these Immortals here, those Immortals are very, very strong counters towards bunkers, able to deal 50 damage per attack. Marines do not even have stim, so it will be very difficult for these Marines to cut through the shields of those units. Finally, siege tech is being researched. Needs about another 20 seconds in order to complete. Production-wise, only one Immortal currently being trained, but that's always very, very, I can't even explain it. Very deceiving, as all of those gateway units only need 5 seconds or 5 game seconds to warp in. So that's one of the reasons why the production tab on a Protoss player, you can never really see how many units he's training up, as a Zealot takes 5 seconds to build. Back over here, we now see some bunkers being positioned over here, and another bunker coming in. A Banshee sitting on 80 hit points will get shot down. Oh, very nicely done, deciding to pull back, does not want to engage. And that Banshee does have a couple hit points there. And when I'm looking for the rest of these SCVs, I do not see where the rest of those SCVs are. Perhaps they were activating Xel'Naga watchtowers. And now another bunker just slowly being moved forward. So these siege tanks now trying to move forward. And what is going to be happening? I thought I saw a Banshee. Yeah, Banshee in here now going after that Stalker, trying to get off a couple quick kills. Another 3 kills. However, in comes a fight here. And now Immortals pushing in. And now an Immortal drop. Very nicely done by NEXGenius. This is not something you see very commonly. And an Immortal dropping straight in, and now in phase mode in order to be able to warp in additional units as well. And beautifully done by NEXGenius. NEXGenius now simply destroying the army of Loner. 2 Marines now moving out. That one warp prism most likely will be able to come out of that empower or that phase mode. Yeah, phasing mode, and then move out once again. That Warp Prism does move at a fairly decent speed, I believe. Yeah, 2.5, the same as a Medevac. And as it moves down over here, you can see Loner trying to establish his expansion, but things are not looking good for Loner at all. I do not know how Loner will be able to hold on to this. He does not have that many units currently being trained. One SCV quickly shot down here, and now Marines and being positioned down. Also a barracks being placed down. So if this one Warp Prism decides the phase mode up here, he would be able to get a very large army just straight into the base. In comes these bunkers, in come these Stalkers and Zealots trying to get into position here. The bunker will just fall down, and now these Banshees coming in to engage as well. SCVs just on auto repair trying to save this bunker, and very nicely done. All of these SCVs on auto repair able to save and just hold this line here. So even though he had a smaller army, he was able to hold on, and now in come some of those Stalkers. Those Stalkers will be able to shoot down one, if not 2 of those Banshees. Banshee down to 20 hit points, down to 10, and able to squeak away with barely 10 hit points there. One more shot from the Stalker would have taken it down. And some siege tanks now trying to get ready over here. So Loner lucking out in that fight, being very, very careful to have all of those SCVs on auto repair, and then a couple of siege tanks being able to blast and just deal a majority of that damage, even though they did not get that kill shot. We do see what, 3 barracks, 1 factory, and 1 starport. Currently just trying to train up more units. Immortals being trained as well, and we are now getting the robotics bay. So that robotics bay will be able to will go for Colossi, and without a starport with a reactor, it will be very difficult for Loner to try to create the proper counter units. Also, there is no Ghost Academy. At some point, I'm expecting that NEXGenius will also get a Twilight Council into High Templar as well. And you can take a look at the gas. Currently, NEXGenius sitting on 900 gas. And off of 4 warp gates, he would be able to warp in a lot of High Templar very easily and let them get about 150 gas before any fight really ensues. We do see more Zealots currently warping in, extended thermal lance research, more Colossi, more Stalkers currently coming in, one Banshee trying to make its way in. However, those Stalkers able to get off a lot of damage onto that Banshee, and now that Banshee down to 65 hit points, unable to really get any true damage off. We do see one Stalker sitting here, and that one Stalker will be able to just pressure that Banshee, since that Banshee does not have full hit points, and now that Banshee deciding to finally back off. Army-wise, we see 2,800 versus 2,450, so both sides still not trying to engage. So NEXGenius, I'm hoping that Loner makes a mistake. Taking a look at the economy tab, Loner is mining out a little bit more efficiently, but he needs to take up a third base, and this is where he may start to overexpose himself. With the Colossi and those Stalkers and Zealots, it will be very difficult to try to take this third base, as it takes some time to try to establish a planetary fortress here. So without a planetary fortress here, it's going to be difficult to try to push. Also, into this location, it is very, very wide. Stalkers and Colossi can fight off into this position. It will be very difficult to chase any of these Colossi. And Colossi with a range of 9 are able to get a lot of damage very easily onto any of these SCVs over here on the low ground. But the same goes for NEXGenius. NEXGenius also needs to try to take up another expansion as well, as both sides are just trying to get up to a critical mass. Army-wise, 136 versus 146. As Loner now getting the larger and larger army. Zealot charge currently being researched as well, so that Twilight Council is down. I'm just waiting for that Templar Archives, as we are still seeing a large amount of gas sitting on, or NEXGenius is still sitting on a large amount of gas. Level 1 weapons upgrade, level 1 armor upgrade, and now with that Twilight Council, he will be able to get the level 2 weapons upgrade, as more and more of these Zealots are currently warping in. So Zealots with that Zealot charge will be able to deal a lot of damage. You can see Loner now trying to establish this expansion here. One Raven in the air, making sure that there are absolutely no observers nearby. I do not believe that NEXGenius knows that these rocks have been taken down, but there is this one Stalker over here activating this Xel'Naga Watchtower, so he can pretty much assume that it has been taken down indeed. So one Stalker and a group of Stalkers now trying to come in. Will NEXGenius try to do a flanking attack, or will he try to keep all of his units together? The Templar Archives now coming into play. So that will be very critical as well. As you can see, almost 1,200 gas. So that army, that 1,200 gas army, will allow for a lot of High Templars to be warped in as soon as he gets more and more pylons. One Banshee moving out. That Banshee only on 5 hit points will get shot down very quickly. However, it will get one victory of one probe there, and then before returning home. So that one Banshee on its last leg and now moving out. We do see a planetary fortress now upgrading. However, Immortals, Colossi, and Zealots now trying to engage. Marines trying to stim and now doing a good job just trying to get into a proper flanking. However, another Colossi coming in over here. So a fight on 2 fronts. We do see 1 or 2 point defense drones in the air, neutralizing a lot of the damage from those Stalkers. And very nicely done by Loner. Loner able to hold on to this expansion here. And with these point defense drones being able to recharge up more and more energy. Oh, poor Hellion there, just coming out a little bit too far. And same thing with, I believe that was a Zealot or a Stalker. Wasn't quite sure. As another planetary fortress just sitting here. So nicely done. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between NEXGenius and Loner here in the Xel'Naga Caverns.